Hello guys and welcome back to the GSTL Venus Day 1. This is Torch and with me is FXO Wolf.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm feeling really good about this match right now, man.
Yeah, FXO is doing a fantastic job. They came out here, they did get a little bit of hate as being a foreign team coming to Korea, but they just brushed it off and said, hey, we're going to do the best job we possibly can. We're going to train like Koreans, we're going to beat Koreans, and we're going to be Korean.
Going to be Korean, I like that. I like how you put that there because that's basically the mentality that we've had here. You know, we don't have the StarCraft 1 12-hour-a-day practice schedule, you're kicked off the team kind of practice schedule, but we've got a very rigid practice schedule. I say rigid, but it's flexible in certain cases, but there's a wake-up time, there's an exercise time, there's an eating time, etc., etc.
And all of that is very important to becoming one team. And you're even bringing in a few other Korean players here. What we see right now is Haksu, or FX Oz, previously known as Twilight Foyu.
Yep.
And he's playing against Squirtle from StarTale, very strong Protoss player.
All right, the game is starting. Who's going to push their team into the lead? Will it be Oz, or will Squirtle take him out in this PvP? All right, over here on the bottom left, a member of the team FXO, a Korean player. He is
FXO Z.
His opponent, a Pokemon of the water attribute. He is
StarTale, Squirtle.
Formerly known as the Korean name for Squirtle, Kobogi.
Kobugi means little turtle.
Yep.
He's got the red headset on right there. That means he's got very high APM.
It does mean he has very high APM. Banshee headsets are pretty good. Some of our teammates use them in the house. Use a lot of Razer stuff, which is pretty good. This is a PvP, obviously. As you see, little scouting probe there coming out for Squirtle, just making sure there are no proxies. It's always one of the things you have to worry about in this matchup. Now, this map is pretty even. It's a pretty normal, all-around good map. It's not a large map, but in PvP that never really comes into play, so it doesn't really affect this matchup very much. The two Xel'Naga watchtowers in the middle of the map will become important if we do kind of get to that mid to late stage of the game with Colossi, but in most cases the game does not go that long.
And Squirtle did throw down his assimilator a little bit early. He's going to get a bit more gas to be able to get those tech units out a little bit faster. But that's also going to give Oz a little bit more minerals to be able to produce a lot more zealots or gateways if he needs to be doing that.
Indeed, and a little bit of scouting from both players at this point. Actually, I take it back, Haksu has not yet scouted his opponent. This is something that a lot of people were critical of Haksu as when he joined our team. In this matchup, he doesn't really scout, but it is a two-player map, of course, and Haksu's kind of justification for this is that you get extra minerals if you don't scout, and he plays so safe, he thinks his build is so safe that there's almost no reason to scout. He of course eventually does, but you know, he kind of starts off with that first Zealot that you guys see there, sends that out, tries to pressure his opponent. Maybe you see it in Brood War sometimes where you send the Zealot, I'm sure some of you guys have seen it, you send the Zealot past your opponent's units and just target down probes and force your opponent to micro, force them to react. That's how he gets the scouting information as well.
Yeah, it is very interesting to see a lot of players now are starting to scout a little bit later because there's not a whole lot of variance in the beginning game that you're really going to change your build to. You scout their base and you say, oh, well, they're doing everything normal. Or, oh, they did a proxy. Well, I'm still starting my opening in the exact same way. So it does give you those extra minerals.
Yep.
And we are seeing the Zealot go down and try to take out a probe like you were talking about, but he's going to need to back off.
Yeah, he is going to have to, of course, target down what he can, but with good micro, it does only take out one probe. You shouldn't lose any probes to that if you have perfect micro, but I mean, who has perfect micro? That's one of the things that's really going to start to advance in StarCraft 2 as the game gets newer and newer. I know it sounds weird to say newer and newer because it's getting older, but the game itself is getting newer as people find out new things, new ways to micro. Everyone gets better overall. We
do also have an expansion for the game coming out quite soon. That's another thing that a lot of people forget about is that there are 2 expansions from Blizzard coming out over the next year and a half to 3 years. I don't know exactly when. It's Blizzard soon.
Well, we do have a Twilight Council coming out for both of these players. This actually happens in almost every single time I watch PvP nowadays because people start to find out that Blink Stalkers are so good, they're so mobile, that even if your opponent knows you're going Blink and he tries to get Immortals, you can just be so mobile with them that's very difficult to deal with. A lot of pros even complain about this matchup now, saying that Blink Stalkers are just so frustrating and it kind of forces you to play that way. Now, we do see Blink being researched, but on the other hand, I was going to mention this as well, Dark Shrine is always a possibility. When your opponent goes for Blink and you go for a Dark Shrine, sometimes you just instantly win.
Yeah, Hoxu's going to need to be getting out some detection very soon, otherwise he's going to have a lot of issues from these Dark Templar. Foxy Pylon is going down for Squirtle, so he's going to be able to bring those DTs in close to Hoxu's base.
Yes, he is, and that Dark Shrine is a long ways off, but if Hoxu doesn't prepare for this, he is going to be, like you said, a lot of trouble. He needs to get a Forge up, maybe a Robotics. Normally you see when you do a Blink Stalker build, the player will eventually get a Forge, just to be careful. In fact, right now, Squirtle...
Ooh, he does scout it, so he is going to be able to take down this Proxy Pylon and prevent the Proxy DTs from coming in. It's going to force a little extra travel time from those DTs and allow Oz to be able to think, hey, maybe he's trying to do something tricky. Maybe I should get detection up a little bit earlier.
Yeah, but Squirtle is remaking another pylon. He did keep the probe alive. In fact, this second pylon that he's remaking is even closer than the last one was to his main base, and still no Forge from Hoxu, so this is actually going to be relatively difficult for him to defend against these DTs. His Blink Stalkers are going to come in here, but there is a Sentry prepared. It does have enough for one Force Field, and if the Stalkers get in there and see the DTs, it may not even matter. Here they come. Stalkers running up here. Guardian Shield goes up. He does see the DTs now, and unfortunately cannot do anything about them. And meanwhile, there's one DT running into his main.
This might turn into a base trade situation if Hoxu cannot get the detection up quickly enough. There is a lot of Stalkers here in Squirtle's base. He is going to be able to do a lot of damage to these probes, but there is that Dark Templar in Oz's main base, just slowly destroying probes. Oz is not pulling the probes because you know they can't really run too far from the DTs. Meanwhile, he is going to be taking down a lot of the forces in the main base of Squirtle.
Yeah, unfortunately though for Oz, there's just no way for him to win this game at this point. He can't physically kill the structures because to do that, he has to be close enough to the DTs to where his Stalkers will die. And it looks like, unfortunately for Oz, he's just going to lose this game simply to not having detection. He's trying to make a Robotics out in the middle of the map, so what he's going to try to do is move these Stalkers away and keep them alive, then get an Observer out, but he's just losing so many hit points, and the DT even finds it. That's going to be it, I think, unfortunately, for Hoxu. 0 supply to 22, and a little bit disappointing for him, I'm sure, but GG.
And that is a quick GG from this Protoss versus Protoss. Oz did try a little bit of a fast Blink build, but Squirtle did counter it quite nicely with the Dark Templars. Little unfortunate to see that so quickly, but Squirtle is a very, very strong PvP player. Oz looking a little upset there, doing a little stretch, knows that all he really needed was some detection, and he would have had that game quite easily. But Squirtle very happy. StarTale, of course, happy alongside him. Ace, known for his bad manner, he's going to be pulling Squirtle over there and teaching him what to do. Not exactly sure what he's trying to go for there, but the thumbs down coming out, very Korean style. And Squirtle goes back in the booth to prepare for his next match. FXOpen looking a little sad, but also confident for his next two games. The score is 3-2. It is not over yet. It's still very, very close.
All right, I'm back. Sorry, I was talking away to my team trying to figure out what we're going to pick next. I won't tell you guys, it's a secret, but the mindset of the team is still strong right now, though, after losing that game. Obviously, when you do Blink Stalkers, the weakness is, of course, DTs, but it's very risky to go DTs in itself because if your opponent just happens to have a Forge, then you basically lose. So PvP can just be that way sometimes, and that's why when you have a player that comes out sometimes who seems to be much stronger, you mirror him with another Protoss because things can just go wrong. Things just will go wrong in PvP, like we saw last game. So Hoxu actually tells us that his best matchup and favorite matchup is PvP. We don't always agree with him, but you know, he felt comfortable playing PvP, so I'm sure he was confident going to that match, but unfortunately just things didn't go as planned.
Yeah, and maybe he was a little too confident, just like the StarTale team was in the little beginning. They lost 2 matches that they probably weren't expecting to do. But it's going to be interesting to see what FXO pulls out next.
Yeah, we are going to pick a pretty strong player. A lot of you guys may have heard of him. Obviously, most of you guys have heard from most of the players on the team now. I'm just messing with you guys. But I'm not going to tell you guys just yet. I will tell you guys the map, though, is going to be Crossfire.
Ooh, Crossfire.
That might hint at who we might be pulling out next. But remember, when you lose at this stage of the tournament, it's very, very important to keep your cool, not freak out. As you can see, the team's just discussing what's going on right now and trying to make sure they're exactly sure with what they're doing.
They also have those koala bears right there to help counteract any sort of rage issues you guys might have. In addition to koala bears, you guys also get donuts a lot, and you have the anti-rage heart-shaped pink donut.
Sometimes we do go out and get donuts for the team members. Some of the managers do, and just make sure that they're feeling all right. And if they seem a little frustrated, because everyone has those frustrating times when you're laddering, even if you're with your team, and especially in a team house environment, if one player gets frustrated, it's very important to deal with that immediately and not just let him keep getting mad and tell him he needs to take a break, because it affects the entire team. If someone's angry, not only is it frustrating for the rest of the team, they have to deal with that, but it's also, it makes you feel like you want to do something about it, and it messes up your own mindset when you're practicing, so it's very, very important to isolate those problems and deal with them. And sometimes, FXO, when we've got a mad guy, we buy him some donuts.
It's not a bad idea, and the mentality when you go into a game like this is very, very important. A lot more important than people realize.
All right, who's it going to be? It's Mingen!
Also known as Moonin.
That's right. Keep using the first names of these players because I know them very personally, obviously.
Oh, he's doing a little counter celebration there for Ace. Hopefully he doesn't get hit by those flames.
All right, so for those of you guys who don't know, Moonin is a Terran. He was the top of the ladder on NA for a really long time. He was known as All About You back then. That was his ID he used. He used the ID Moonin in StarCraft 1, changed it to All About You, and then changed it back to Moonin when he joined FXO. And another fact about Moonin that you guys may not have known, you mentioned it earlier, I believe that he won Courage, which is a StarCraft 1 pro gaming license winning tournament. It says his age here is 15, but that is actually not true at all.
Quite off, yeah. I think it's 25, correct?
Yeah, I think he's about 24 or 25 year old in Korean age, but whatever. Obviously, you guys know that's not the case. But Moonin, he's really, really strong in all the matchups. He's actually, one of his biggest struggles, I think, is when he practices with us, he tells us, I want to play against really good players, and when he first got on the ladder, he had to get his MMR back up, because everyone has to do that when you play on a new server. You have a new account, you got to get your MMR up. That was so frustrating for him when he got here. He was like, the team league's soon, I can't play against these noobs. But he has finally gotten his MMR up. He's been practicing with a lot of players from different teams as well, not only ours, but other teams that are in the other bracket, in the Jupiter side. So he's really, really prepared for this. And I gotta say, he's gonna give Squirtle a run for his money.
I think he will as well. TVP on Crossfire is definitely an interesting matchup.
Yeah, I talk about it a lot. For those of you guys who watch my cast, like, uh-oh, Wolf's gonna do a Crossfire rant. But I really do think that Crossfire is a map that's extremely good for Terran, and for that reason, that's the reason why we picked it. But remember, though, historically in the Team League, Squirtle has done quite well against Terrans. So that's that's kind of something we were talking about over there on the bench was, do we really want to do this? I mean, he's really done well against Terran. He took out MVP back in the first Team League in what some people call the most epic match of all time with the motherships on Terminus Re. It was great.
That was a very, very great game.
That was actually a very monumental match for StarCraft 2 in general. It showed the importance of Team Leagues. It showed the importance of bigger maps. It was just,
it showed that Koreans have personalities.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was great. I remember that Team League. Just the Team League new system is great as well, and I want you guys to tell GOM how much you appreciate them. Follow them on Twitter at GOMTV. Talk about in the GOM forums about how much you love this new format, because it's really important that you guys let GOM know that you really enjoy this new format. They know, but I mean, you gotta tell them more.
And they very much want to continue to improve to make everything better and better for you guys. It's not just about Korea, it is about the world of esports.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that can be improved. It does take time though, be patient. But just keep letting us know what is important to you guys.
This is the global StarCraft League, not just, Korean StarCraft League or anything like that. Remember that. All right, the countdown has started. Will Squirtle close us out, or will Moonin give him a run for his money? The map is Crossfire. Let's find out here at the GSTL Venus.